Okay. Okay, I'm back. Normal people. I'm going to do episodes 7, 8, and 9, okay? I'm not going to lie. Things start to get a bit juicy. Things start to get complicated. But I'm still very, there's some good bits, there's some bad bits, but, I don't know how I feel about the overall story. I feel like the story in general is just, it's overstretched, it's dramatized, which I get, obviously is the point. They're trying to make entertainment, but look, right, so episode 7. So we open up with him. Firstly, just a recap. The last episode, they finish off where it seems like they break up. I don't really know what happened. Something happens in the kitchen and she breaks a glass, and I kind of remembered that what was it? But he said something he's after losing his job and stuff, and he can't afford the rent, so they're gonna sublet out his room for the summer, and he's gonna go back to Sligo. And instead of him being would it be okay if I stayed here, if I got another job, blah blah blah, but instead he's I assume you want to see other people, and then it's a whole miscommunication thing. So start of episode 7, they're kind of flashing back to this, giving more information, because I feel like they don't give you enough at the end of episode 6, which is obviously to hook you back into episode 7. So fair enough, well done, you did that. So this I'm just gonna give you my thoughts as I was watching it, because I was so confused with this. So I was thought that I was did they break up just because he can't afford to pay his rent? I didn't realize he had said that until a bit into this episode. I was it's pretty stupid of them to just decide to break up if he can't afford his rent. It's very she has a whole empty place there. She could have just been don't worry about it, just move in with me, but she didn't. So, and he didn't ask either. So for people who are so close and who supposedly get each other so much and they're doing all this stuff together, they don't really communicate a lot, which bothers me a lot. Yeah, so I have here then is why do you suggest to see other people? It's so confusing, because they both fancy each other. He really, really likes her. He probably loves her. I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but there's clearly something there. Why would you say so you want to see other people rather than just being can I stay here? I just don't understand that train of thought. It makes no sense. And then when he said that, why didn't she just be no, I don't want to see other people, rather than being assuming he's breaking up with her? So I have a lot of problems with these next few episodes. So okay, we flash forward, whatever, he's gone back to Sligo, he's on a night out, and he meets his teacher, and then he starts shifting his teacher. I was that's so messed up. But then again, I do feel that is something that happens in the countryside. I've definitely heard of people getting with teachers, or I've seen teachers on nights out and stuff like that. It wouldn't be for me. But then again, I've heard of it happening around Dublin as well, so I don't really know. Who knows? People are weird. I did think it was going to go further, and then that they were going to ride, but he didn't do that. He felt he was going to get sick, but it was so uncomfortable. This was a woman who taught him, and she talking about how hard he is. I just wanted to vomit. I was no, this is too much. This is way too much. No, back it up. That was vile. Absolutely vile. I can just imagine any good solid Catholic woman watching it, older woman obviously, being oh my god, is that what goes on in them schools? Oh, Mary Joseph. Oh honey, you've no idea what goes on between teachers and students in some schools. I'm still I just can't get over this whole she just assumed he was breaking up with her, and she's all upset. Why didn't they just talk about this? Why wasn't she look, you can stay with me? Because he was saying that Niall is going to sublet the room. So why don't you just tell him he can stay with you. Like, you're going to be there anyways, and you were together at this point. Like, I just... Like, why didn't you just be like, I don't want to see other people? Rather than just jump to a conclusion. Like, that's a lot of the stuff bothers me about that. Like, just use your goddamn voice. Oh my god. You have it for a reason. But then, like, after that, like, I think it's like, they show flashbacks for the two of them thinking about the conversation, but, like, I feel like it's primarily Connell who regrets it. I feel like he sticks on these situations much more than she would. Like, they both regret it. And she, like, she's clearly still upset about it. And I feel like in this, like, most situations, it seems like they show Connell thinking about it more. But I think in this one, it was her they showed thinking about it more. Like, why doesn't she just, like, talk to him, reach out to him? Like, why don't they just sort this out? Like, it's so clear through this whole season that, like, they just want to be together. And there's just, they both do so many stupid things. Like, just stay with me. You'll hear all about it. Oh, yeah. So in this episode, he's in Sligo and she's in Dublin, but she comes back to Sligo and they see each other in Super Value. I was like, oh, of all places, they're not going to see each other in fucking Super Value. Like, it was gas. I was, like, laughing so much to myself. Like, he's at, like, the self-checkout, just getting his bits, and then she's, like, walking past and she sees him and he sees her and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they're in his car talking, and of course, it's flashing rain, like, of course. And he brings her home and she's all like, oh, do you want to come for a cup of tea? And he's like, my shopping in the car, like, can't really go in. But they have to spend like 5 minutes talking in the car anyway, so I mean, whatever. And this is like the first time I think that we find out that her dad actually died. Like, I know from the start you don't, like, her dad isn't present. I don't know if there is a mention of her dad dying, but I don't remember it. And they have a bit of a conversation. Like, it's pretty clear they both regret how their last conversation went. And she's home for her dad's memorial mass. And this mofo is like, he's like asking her, can he go to the mass? I'm like, what? Are you okay? Like, are you actually okay? So, like, she thinks he's broken up with her. He thinks that he's made this huge mistake. And instead of just being like, look, can we meet up, like, the day after or whatever, he's like, can I go to your dad's mass? Like, why would you go to your ex's anniversary mass when you know things have ended badly before you have a conversation and sort stuff out? Like, be like, can I go to the anniversary mass? What a dope, like, honestly. Like, I would personally not think that's the best place to try, like, patch things up with my ex. Like, just, oh yeah, can I go to your dad's anniversary mass? Like, so stupid. But anyways, I'm trying to remember what happened next. Oh yeah, we find out that she's going out with Jamie. So Jamie would have been in her friend group when she was with her last fella. I can't even remember his name. She goes through a lot of fellas in this, but Jamie's an arsehole. Like, he's got a load of money, general arsehole, snobby bastard. And at first I was like, go girl, but then I'm like, why would you get involved with someone when you so clearly still have feelings for Connell? Like, that just, as we progress, you will hear them thoughts, because it just really, really bothered me. But she's like, so they're talking about whatever, and Connell is enjoying his single life, and she's like salty that he's single. Like, why are you, she just seems so salty with everything he does. I'm like, why are you annoyed that he's single? Like, you have a fella, like, just, you had your chance to tell him how you feel. You had your chance. You still can break up with fucking Jamie. Like, he's useless. Like, you can still break up with Jamie and get with Connell if Connell wants to go there. Like, cop on. Like, honestly, the amount of, like, jealousy and saltiness that comes from her within these next few episodes pisses me off. Like, you had your chance. It is not anyone else's fault that you can't speak up for yourself and tell him how you feel. Like, Sorry. But like there's so many scenes where like she's such a bitch to him, like just the faces she'd just be giving him, but she still wants to be friends. And like she invites him in for tea and all that. But she's like acting so odd. Like, does she really think that they can be friends? Like, but she's still clearly bothered. Like, you can't be friends if you're still clearly bothered over it. Like, you can only actually successfully be friends when you've got over the shit that's happened. Because otherwise it's just going to keep coming up and you're broken. Like, she just annoyed him like all the time, and he doesn't seem to cop it. Unless it's the whole point that we just don't get her and only he gets her and all that jazz. But like, she does have a bitchy ass like face on her a lot of the time when she's interacting with him. It's so funny though, because it's like the Irish summer. It's like Lash and Rain. I was kind of like, oh, lol, accurate. That's so true. So anyways, flash forward, we are at the anniversary mass and Connell goes. Like, he asked her could he go, and she said no, and then he goes anyways. I'd be like, what motherfucker, like, you're not listening to me. Like, why would you ask and then just do the complete opposite to what I said? So, but then she's like smiling when he comes in the door, like she's happy that he's there. Like, just bloody pick what you want. I just can't. I can't. Marianne really annoys me. Like, just like, not the actress, just her character. It's very infuriating. I didn't like how it gives you like, they don't like go over what happened during the summer. They just jump straight to September. And then I would thought they would just flashback to stuff that happened in the summer and then back to September, and that whole flashback technique thing that just confuses me sometimes, especially if I'm not like properly invested in a series. Like, to keep me invested, it sounds so baby like, but it have to be linear, just because sometimes so much shit happens and you just can't follow it all when they're flashing forward and flashing backwards, and you can't remember if she was with Jamie, if she wasn't with Jamie, if she was doing this, if she was doing that, you know, that kind of way. Maybe I'm just retarded, but you know, whatever. Oh, sorry, you can't say that word anymore. Yeah, so then we flash forward to September and they're meeting up and they're back in Dublin and they're like meeting up, and at the start I'm like confused if they're like friends, if they're just like hooking up or whatever, or they're together, because he's like running because he's obviously late. But we soon find out. Don't you worry, we soon find out. So what happens is they start having a conversation, and she's still so bitchy with him, like, even though he's like making an effort, like they're communicating, being friendly, whatever. So apparently there's a big issue between Connell and Jamie, because Jamie feels intimidated by Connell, and she's like, well, obviously he's going to be intimidated by the fella who fucked his girlfriend. And I'm like, that is a very aggressive thing to say. First of all, you were more than fucking, you were like literally together. There was a lot more emotion behind it. Like, it wasn't just like meeting up and getting the ride. Like, you spent time together. Like, you had some sort of relationship. Like, you were upset when things ended. It obviously wasn't, you still fucking have feelings for him now. Like, it wasn't just hit it and quit it type thing. It was just rude. I think it was really rude of her to just say that their relationship was just purely fucking. And then bragging about like her Satanist fucking that her and Jamie do. Like, that was very odd and bizarre. Like, she's like, oh, Jamie's into all this like satanic stuff. I'm like, that's just like, I don't want to hear that, and I wasn't emotionally invested in you. Like, why would he want to hear it? It's just very rude. That's why I do think she's still very salty over the stuff that happened. But then again, Connell being a naive ass country boy, he's like asking like what it entailed, which again, honey, save yourself, you don't need to know. Yeah, so she brags about her sex with Jamie, and then Connell asks like 3 questions, roughly like 3 or 4 questions, and then she talks about like how she feels like she's just acting a part like in her life with Jamie, but with Connell it was real, like the sex. I'm like, you can't just be like bragging about your sex with Jamie and then turn around to Connell and be like, yeah, but with you it was real. Like, it doesn't feel real with him. I just feel like I'm acting a part. But then be like bragging about it like 2 seconds ago. Like, her emotions are all over the place. She just like, this girl needs to sit down and like, someone needs to go, what do you want in your life? And she needs to be like, not Jamie, because she clearly doesn't like and if she doesn't feel like it's real, or she doesn't like playing this part, then why is she still with him? Like, I just don't understand. I do feel like throughout a lot of this, she's like trying to, I don't know what the word is, but she's like trying to make herself like this tortured artistic soul by like doing all these things that she doesn't want to do. Like, it just makes no sense to me, like, at all. There's like a scene then, I don't know if it's after this, not, but it like cuts to him and her having sex, and she's just not into it at all, like, at all. You can see it on her face. It's so crazy. Then we flash to where Connell gets mugged, and at first I didn't really understand why he called Marianne. Maybe he didn't have anyone else in Dublin, but it turns out he needed money for a taxi, because I was very confused for a while. So whatever, he rings her. It's the only number he knew off by heart, as he says, and he comes in, and she goes out like to greet him with no shoes. I'm like, you're literally in your apartment. You literally have probably like 4 pairs of shoes, at least 4 pairs of shoes. You could have thrown on your bloody slippers. You're going out on Dublin streets with no shoes on, honey. Who are you? Wearing a dress and all, like. So he comes in, and he's been out, so he's drunk, so he's obviously, you know, she's like talking to her or whatever, and he's holding her hand, and she's like letting him hold her hand. But when he calls her, like, her friends are over and Jamie is there, and they're all like drinking, ready to go out, and then she lets him in, and he's like all over her, holding her hands, blah blah blah, and she lets him, like he knows about Jamie, she knows that Jamie's just there. So I was kind of confused as to why he rang her, because I'm like, he has his own place in Dublin, like, why is he ringing her? But obviously it's the only number he knew off by heart, and he needed money for a taxi to get home, etc., because his wallet was robbed. So anyways, then he's like drunk, so he's shouting on about how he doesn't think she should be with Jamie, and I like agree with him, but at the same time, like, he doesn't have a say in this shit anymore, like. And then she's going on about, like, she says something about, like, being ugly or something. And, like, she knows that he didn't find her ugly. He doesn't think she's ugly because he got with her in school. Like, he wouldn't have got with her if he thought she was ugly. It's just a lot of, like, Marianne feeling sad for herself. And then Connell clearly wants her and she clearly wants him. And then the two of them just going in complete opposite directions. And it's very frustrating. So I think this is after. Yeah, so sorry, I got distracted there. So what happens is, whatever, they come up, of course, Jamie's an arsehole to Connell, and Connell just kind of accepts it. Everyone else is nice, and then they head off, and she's like, look, I'll catch up with you. I'm just going to make sure he's okay, make sure he gets home, blah, blah, blah. Clean him up, and then they start talking about, like, the last time they were there. So, he's getting, like, very involved in the fact that she shouldn't be with Jamie because of how much of an arsehole he was just before he left. And I'm like, for someone who wouldn't admit his feelings for her, like, it's kind of rude to be like, I don't think you should be with him, blah 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 blah, but then not be like, be with me instead type thing, or not admit your feelings, or not talk about the shit that happened the last time you were there. And then, like, randomly just pops in the fact that oh yeah, by the way, I'm seeing Helen, and she, like, knows who Helen is. I can't remember her last name. And for I didn't know if it was, like, real, if he was just saying to get a dig at her, but it is real. Okay. And then she's, like, crying over him seeing someone, like you literally have a whole ass boyfriend who just walked out of here 5 minutes ago, like I just don't understand. You're not together. Like, you're not together. You don't, like, you can't have this, like, a whole attitude where you can do what you want and you can get as many fucking boyfriends as you want, but as soon as he turns around and sees someone, you're bawling your eyes out. Like, that is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Cop on, honey. yeah, so I have stuff written here. It's like, I understand why he called her now, because he needed money for a taxi to get home. Because, like, she's crying and distraught. He's like, oh yeah, can I actually get that money? She's like, leave. He's like, I actually can't leave because I need money. Which, again, I thought was funny. It wasn't meant to be funny, but I was laughing at it. And then, like, literally, like, as he's going, he's like, finally admits that, like, when he was talking to her there last year, in the exact same, like, kitchen, he was like, admits that he would have liked to stay with her over summer, and like talk about how he doesn't know what happened with the whole situation. She's like, of course he would have been able to stay with me, there would have been no question about it. So it was clear miscommunication. They should have just talked about this. I figured out like what they're gonna do with this information, and then he just leaves. It's like, okay, bro. Then, you know, it goes to him being home, and Helen is there, and she's patching, because he got hit when he got mugged, so she's like patching up his face, which is cute because she's studying medicine, so I mean, I guess handy to have in the bag. But you know, that was episode 7. I just the more I watch this, the more like impatience I have towards Marianne. Like, she's not a bad person, she's just like, she needs to sort her shit out. Like, I'm sorry. I just keep getting this like, it's like pain on my hip. It's where I'm like 80 years old. So episode 8, summer again, I'm pretty sure. And the first like clip is like Connell and his nasty ass, dirty ass shoes in an art gallery. It was like so random. But then turns out him and Niall went interrailing, which I found out later on in the episode. Again, lol, always with the fucking backlog of information. So they go on holidays, I think it's to Italy, to Marianne's family home. Him and Niall, and Peggy's there, and Jamie's there, and Marianne is there, obviously. I feel like it was weird him going with the like the whole revelations between the fact that they both wanted to stay together and they both wanted to stay in Dublin, and it would have been okay have they just talked about it. And again, I wrote, why does she always look so fucking pissed at Connell, like always? So he goes out and he's talking to her, blah blah blah, and you know, just a pleasant conversation. They're all talking, grand. At this point, he doesn't know that Jamie's there. I don't know if he ever knew Jamie was going to be there, or if it was just like, oh shit, Jamie's here. But then he gets in the shower. And that was, when I say that was a hot shower scene. Damn, I would have paid good money to be in that shower. Like, as I wrote here, I'm surprised Marianne didn't jump in with him. But then I said, she's probably with Jamie still. And she was. Jamie's still in the goddamn picture. There's like a lot of awkward conversations between him and Connell. Like, he's very like, I don't know, I don't want to say aggro because he's not. He's just very condescending towards Connell. So Connell will say something, he's like, what you do that for? Why are you saying that for? Why are you doing this for? Like, why would you go there? Like, fuck off. She's still like salty over Helen. Like, he wants to go ring Helen, tell her like that he got there, blah blah blah, and she's still kind of like, oh, you're still with Helen. Like, your boyfriend's literally standing behind you. Like, what's your issue? You don't even like him. Helen seems lovely from like what we see. Well, you don't really see her that much from what we hear of her. There's no like weird issues with him staying in Marianne's in Italy for the moment, anyways. And but Marianne's so weird about Helen. Like, she's so like possessive over Connell. It's a bit disturbing considering like they're not together. There's nothing going on between him and Marianne, and she has a whole boyfriend. And I liked the scene of them biking to the shop. It was cute, and it's like, it's so clear there's like an attraction and chemistry still between them. I don't know why they never just go for what they want. There's always like, realistically, they could break up with who they're with because they want to be together. Like, they do. It's so like, It's infuriating. They go and they get the shopping, blah blah blah, and they're sitting like in a little square having ice cream, and they have like this conversation about like finances and stuff in the world, and he seems so like he's very conscious of his finances, and they're talking about a scholarship that he got, and Marianne got it as well, and she kind of disregards it, but then she kind of realizes her own privilege with money when this whole conversation comes up. Like, she never seems to realize it before then. Like, I wonder why it's never come up in her mind before, you know. And they have a discussion about his mom working for her mom, and like how she's not paid well, and like she's like, you probably resent me, and he's like, why would I resent you? Like, you're not paying my, like, he didn't say that, but like, I agree, like, why would he resent her? Like, she's not paying his mom, her mom is, she has no control over it. Like, that's what I mean. She's very like, she tries to make herself out to be this tortured soul, or this tortured like character. Like, she's like, oh, you probably resent me, like, but you're not doing it. Like, if you want to be resented, I'll resent you, honey, no problem. There seems to have been some good amount of contact between them since the night he was mugged. I obviously, like, they don't show that because they just skip right through it, but considering they seem to know where each other has been and what's been going on with each other, you would assume that there's contact. I'm just annoyed that one of them does not act on this. Like, there is so much tension, like sexual tension between them throughout like these anyways, they come back from their bike ride, and Jamie's so weird, like staring at them as if they just killed his mom. Like, they went on the bike ride to get food job for the bloody dinner, man. Calm down. If they wanted to ride in the bushes, they would have. That this episode really, I feel like it's a defining moment for Marianne, but it also makes me be like, you know what, fuck you, Jamie. At the start I was like, go Jamie. He's like very snobby, very stuck up. He's like, they're using like these champagne glasses, but they're not flutes, they're more like I don't know, kind of like a martini glass, I guess, but fancier. They're like very old champagne glasses, and he's like moaning that there's no champagne flutes, and just keeps going on and on about these champagne flutes. And Marianne's like, well, we're using these are my dad's. If you want champagne flutes, they're inside. And he's all like, well, I didn't know they had like sentimental value to you. Jeez, like, bro. Ugh. Yeah, so he's just being a prick, like when she said they were her dad's. And then he's like just moaning about everything. Like, anytime like they're talking about their interrailing, like, he's an arsehole. And Niall, fucking fair play to him, he always comes back at him, like. And then Marianne's just going to Venice on the train one day because Niall and Connell have never been. And they're like, oh, that's good. And he's like, oh no, you wouldn't want to go. Oh no, it'd just be full of tourists, and it'd be a stank. It'd just be loads of Asian tourists. There'd be no real Italians there. Like, man, like, what is your issue? Oh, so snobby. And then I think Marianne's getting annoyed at him because she goes inside to get a bottle of wine, and she like takes a minute, and she's like, I'd say she wants to fucking hit her head off the wall, because I'd just be so embarrassed, like. And then Jamie makes a dig at like the scholarship and Connell's finances, and then in fairness, Peggy's like, well, Marianne got it too, like. And Niall's financial status as well, because I feel like Niall is a bit more, I don't, like, he wouldn't have a lot of money like they're like Marianne and Peggy and Tim and Jamie. Peggy's actually kind of been very sound. I do think she's kind of fake, but she's like, here, what's going on? Like Jamie's being a cunt, but like, what did you expect? You brought Connell here. And I agree with her. I really do. So this is when Marianne's gone in to get strawberries, and then she comes out. Like, for this whole like interaction, I'm waiting for her or someone to lose Adam, like someone. And he brings out the strawberries and like, where's the fucking cream? And she's like, inside, because she obviously fucking forgot it. And he's like, well, how do you expect us to eat strawberries without cream? And she's like, fine. And she storms inside, and then he follows her out in like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, as if he didn't just stir this whole entire pot. Like, I'm delighted they have an argument, but he's an arsehole. Like, he called her deranged or something. That was just like, And then you don't really see their argument. You just kind of hear it hanging around the house, and it's like awkward conversations outside. And then you hear like a smash, and Connell like fucking legs it in there to make sure she's okay, and he helps calm her down. But the whole argument with him is just so bizarre. Like, he just keeps pouring wine into this glass, and it's like overflowing. She's like, please just put the glass down, put the glass down, put the glass down. I don't know if it's like one of the special glasses or whatever, and he just drops it and smashes to the floor, and she fucking goes for him. Connell takes her out, calms her down, they have a cigarette, whatever. And she asks, can he stay in his room? In Connell's room, which I'm like, my hopes are getting up here. I'm like, it's gonna happen. But it was a big move, like, I'm like, potential sex. But I don't know why she didn't fucking tell Jamie where to go. Like, it's her family's house. Like, bro, get out. Fucking get a different room. Sleep outside. Sleep on the couch. I don't care. Like, it's her house. Then they're getting ready for bed. Connell and Marianne. And there's like a really weird part. They're like staring at each other in their underwear. I was like, you've seen this before. Like, what are you doing? And Marianne, like, they have like a little DMC in the bed, and it's very clear, like, Marianne's like, she has this obsessive nature with, like, she's not feeling loved. Like, she's obsessed with not being loved. Like, nobody loves me, nobody loves me. Like, people do love her. Like, she has friends. Connell clearly loves her. I do think this whole like tortured fucking soul complex. And like, she's being open and honest with Connell about like how her family is and stuff, and like her fear back then of why she wasn't so open of him not wanting her. I'm like, well, now it's too fucking late, but like, why don't you give it a go? And she's like, oh, nobody loves me. My brother said he wishes I was dead. Oh, bullshit. Like, fucking tell your brother to fuck off. I wish he was a bit more like, yeah, whatever, shut the fuck up. But in fairness, her brother's an arsehole, so. They didn't do like a weird embrace, but I knew something was gonna go down. I was waiting for some kissing, some little sexy moves. So they were kissing, obviously, and I was like, yes, come on, just do it while James in the fucking house. Tell him how to fuck off. But she stopped it. I was like, oh. Like, you clearly want each other. Why are you doing this? So that was annoying, but I guess it's a good hook for episode 9, I guess, because that was the end of the episode. I think I'm just going to move straight on to episode 9. I feel like episode 9, I had a lot of stuff to say. But I feel like just so much happens, and there's so many like, so much like character things that happen. A lot of it being annoying at Marianne. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she needs to get her shit sorted. Episode 9 is when she goes on Erasmus, so she goes away for a year. Also, they end up doing like final year together in college, so I don't understand how that works if she went on Erasmus. Is not an extra year for Erasmus? Anyways, I don't know. Trinity, who knows? And so usually at the start of episodes, there was like a short clip, and it's like normal people, and then it starts the whole episode. So in this little clip, she's like at some party, she's standing alone, she's being real weird and silent, and some fella's like, why are you standing all here by yourself? She's like, your own company. She doesn't answer him, but she's like staring at him. He's like, do you want a beer? And she's like, no. He's like, I think you want a beer. Or a drink. I don't know if he says beer or drink, whatever. And so she has one. It's nice to see that like she's kind of gotten herself out of the situation with her shitty kind of friends and Jamie and stuff like that, and Connell. But Connell's still like, they keep in touch, they email each other. Like, it's nice to see that there's a communication there. I'm assuming her and Jamie are over. I would hope they're over, but I'm like, still, I would not be surprised if this man turned up back in Sweden. She's in Sweden. So your man who talks to her at the start is Lucas. He's a photographer, and I think this is before we actually know anything, but like I definitely think she's with him. Turns out she is with him. And it kind of flashes back to Connell and Helen. Now, a lot of what they show of Connell and Helen, it seems to be like a pretty good relationship, like, but a big factor is he still cares about Marianne, and I can just imagine how that would affect a relationship. Like, he can't fully give himself to Helen because he's still holding that torch for Marianne, if that makes sense. Marianne is just so annoying though, like she really frustrates me. So she goes out to get, I don't know, food or coffee or whatever with your man Lucas, and she's being real quiet. He's like, what's wrong? And she's like, he's like, oh, are you gonna break up with me? And she's like, maybe. Like, what kind of answer is maybe? Like, yes or no? Like, and then he's like, just say what you want. And he's like, I like you. Like, and she's like, I want the opposite of that. So she's like, you don't want him to like you? Like, what is going on in your pea-sized brain? Like, honestly, she's so smart, but like so stupid and so annoying. But then I'm like, is it a fetish thing? Is it a sexual thing? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. And like, it's just, sometimes I feel like it takes her so long to just say what she wants. Like, just say it. Just spit it out. Like, oh, she's so infuriating. I like Connell and Helen together. I do think it was a good mix, but then again, you don't see a lot of their relationship. You just kind of see probably what they just show people. There's a sex scene here, so like the sex between Colin and Helen, it looks good, it looks intense, it looks sweaty. I'd say any L woman watching it would have been like, oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, oh my god. And then and then it just cuts to Lucas absolutely railing Marianne, and she's tied up and she's not even pretending like she's into this, and he's telling her like she's worthless, and she's like, I'm gonna have a shower. He's like, no, you're not. Like, that's what you wanted, and now you're not even happy with it. Also, very bizarre, after they have sex, he like goes and puts on his trousers, but he doesn't put on any jocks. I'm like, they're like jeans as well. He puts on, maybe they're like jeggings. I don't know. You'd still put on jocks. Like, is it a European thing? Who knows? But yeah. So like before this whole dynamic where he's telling her he's worthless and he doesn't like her and all this kind of stuff, he's always like, I really like you. You look really good. Like, she came out of the shower. He's like, you look really nice. You look beautiful. Blah blah blah. And she's like completely like, I don't want that. So he turns it on his head. It's a complete 180, and it's so bizarre. But she's like still not impressed. Like, that's what I mean. She's so annoying. She doesn't know what she wants. And then when she gets what she wants, what she asked for, she's still not happy. Anyways, I do still like that she's talking to Connell, I guess. But like, she's talking to Connell about stuff that she should actually be talking to her actual boyfriend about, like how she's feeling, and she feels like she's detached and all this. Or like go to a therapist or something, or like, I understand that they're friends, but I don't know. Then Colin's at a Christmas party with Helen and Niall, and I think Niall has a girlfriend, and I'm not even sure. And it's so random. He bumps into Peggy at this random Christmas party, and he's weirdly like aggressive towards her, asking if like Marianne likes bondage, and she's like just joking about him. Like, she's like, oh, did you get her onto that, blah blah blah. And he gets so aggressive. Like, it's not that bad of a thing. Like, if she's into bondage, that's fine, that's her thing. Like, leave her alone. If anyone's being weird about it, it's you. So he goes outside because he's annoyed, and Helen goes out and they're having a conversation. And Helen's kind of like, she says that Marianne kind of likes being talked about, and like, she's not wrong. Like, Marianne doesn't exactly keep shit private, like, I guess. And like, Helen has definitely copped at this point that he still cares about Marianne. Now, they don't show anything about her having a problem with it, but I can't imagine she's alright all the time with it. And so in response to her telling Connell, this is in response to Marianne telling Connell how like she feels like detached. She's like, I don't think you're really happy in Sweden. Like, why don't you come home for Christmas? And she's clearly not happy, but she refuses to come home. Like, even her mom, who's a bit of an arsehole, rings her and is like, are you coming home for Christmas? Like, she refuses. I just find it very bizarre. Like, she says she's busy, but you never actually see her doing anything. And then she has a conversation. I'm not sure if it's an email or conversation with Connell. But she kind of realises that Jamie and Peggy weren't great friends. And it's kind of sad. Like, she's imagining Christmas and she can only really imagine his house and, like, the town, like, not her own home. Which is very sad. And then we cut to a scene. I think they're after, her and Lucas are after having sex. And she has, like, bruises on her arms. And I'd say any Irish family watching that, or any, like, Irish parents would be like, quaking in their boots. Just like, sex is not equal violence or like anything like that in like old Irish families. It was only something married people do to have kids. That's it. That's literally it. No pleasure, no like intenseness, whatever. The bruises don't seem like that big of a deal to me. They didn't bother me that much, but I bruise very easily, so I mean, yeah. I don't know if it was meant to be like a big defining moment in it, but it really just didn't faze me. I was like, yeah, you know, have some iron in your diet. I don't know. So it's like this whole dynamic with her and Lucas, it's like totally changed. It's like she's like his little pet now. He's like showering her and stuff. It's just very bizarre. Very bizarre. And then like she's in her room. A lot of weird like scenes. Like she's in her room, she goes downstairs, she pours out a bottle of water. Like, why would you pour out your bottle? Like, would you not get a new bottle of water? Like, I just, whatever. And then he says Lucas wants to photographer or photograph her tomorrow, Grant. And I feel like this is a very character changing thing for her. The photography session itself is weird. Like, it's clear she's having some sort of turnaround. Like, there's like a voiceover of Connell being like, no, like, obviously what he said to her in an email, like, you're loved, we all, like, you have people who care about you, like, you're not worthless and all this kind of stuff. And he does like shots of her wearing her clothes and she's topless, and then he gets out this restraint to like tie her hands, and she doesn't want to be tied. And in fairness, like, Lucas is right, he's like, this is what you wanted. So she gives in and he ties her, and then he gets out another tie thing and she's like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's gotten slightly aggressive with her. I feel like there was no need for it. He was like, her eyes were closed. He's like, open your fucking eyes. And I was like, slightly aggressive. But as I'm saying, like, I do like the voiceover of Connell, kind of making her feel better. Not making her feel better, but like reassuring her that she's loved and stuff like that. And that she's important, and it really brings like a change in her. And she like cuts herself off from Lucas. Like, I think her refusal to like participate in the derogatory stuff, like, not derogatory, but like her being a piece of shit, it's a sign of strength in her that I haven't seen so far. She just generally seems to be a bit of a pushover, doesn't really know what she wants, except for in the start when she was in school. Then again, she would have let Connell do anything. So I don't know how long it will last, to be honest. I really don't. So, I mean, it's kind of like, it's clear to see that like over the last like 2 episodes, there's been a lot of change between Marianne, particularly a little bit with Connell. They seem to be communicating more, which is good. It can only be a good sign, because Jesus, before there was no communication, and that's where everything went wrong. I'm annoyed that they don't just like, look, we gotta just talk about shit and get back together because we want to be together. Like, I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. Like, the general story is annoying. It's done well. Like, it's carried out well. There's very good scenes, very good acting in a lot of cases, very good directing. Some weird instances, some weird parts that I just feel like aren't relevant, but they could be like references to something else. It could be like, like when you're in school and you're like doing poetry in your English class, and they're like, they say the balloon was blue because it represents sadness, that kind of shit, like, but I don't pick up on that, so whatever. I wouldn't say I'm getting more into it. I'm kind of just doing it for the sake of watching it at this point, just to see what happens. I just want to see if they get together, and then even then, if they do get together, I'd be like, oh, you had to just talk this out in the first place. You wouldn't have to go through all this bullshit. Ugh. Okay, right. Well, that's me for now. There's only 3 episodes left, so I'll just do that in my next one. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy.